last the outer boundary of this universe. And we're doing much more than escaping out of the matrix, but we're also moving through any remaining membranes. Any remaining membranes and false AI reality constructs, often referred to as overlays. We're going through them as well. As you continue to adore and admire Gaia, in the center of this ascending crystal ball, see and feel and have a sense of rising up through everything. With Gaia in the center, look all around, look down at your feet. Look at your next couple of 144K comrades. Evenly spaced to your far left and far right. As we rapidly approach that last thick outer boundary of this universe, to access the immense power and protection take that last glance at Gaia. And then all of a sudden, everything goes bright white. As we reach and move through that last thick outer boundary of this universe, and we're through, you see a huge ball of light beneath us. That is the universe that we just left. Rapidly descend. It shrinks into a small ball of light, and we rise above a whole ocean of small balls of light that are all the other universes. And that all also shrinks into another ball of light that is the multiverse that we just left, and you see a whole other ocean of small balls of light that are all the neighboring multiverses. And that all shrinks into nothingness. Take a glance at your guides if you have them with you while I run through the standard protocols. Authentic heart, I call upon the one true authentic light beings the heart. Please make sure we go to you and no one else true heart. And you look above Gaia. Up through the roof of the crystal ball, and you see a little point of white light way off in the distance. All of a sudden appears. And it grows in size and brightness. And the whole roof of the crystal ball is now lit up. And we reach it. We come to a sudden, yet somehow gentle stop. And we gently, slowly, lovingly move through. And up and through this platform of light as it envelops the crystal ball. And we rise above it. Closes at the bottom, opens up at the top. It's quite the decompression process, shall we say. And we gently, lovingly nestle on top of this platform of light, getting ready to literally transform a world. And now we form a straight line of solidarity and togetherness behind and a bit above Gaia. The crystal ball begins to peel evenly and slowly from the top. Nice and slowly to allow for a gentle decompression to such super high frequencies from such super dense frequencies. All the way down. And now look up and see and feel, in other words, connect to their unique energy signature. That is very close emissaries of Source. If you're new, you may simply see them as light beings, very big, but still extremely far away, like 2,000 universes away in terms of space dimension. But at the same time, they're all around us. Very, very soft and very translucent, with the central sun of Source in the middle of them. There's 5 of them. And this is where you go deep, into a deeper level of the now, for essentially energetic invincibility. And as you look at them, you don't necessarily have to see all of them at once. You can if you want. What is the image that your right hemisphere brain is already showing you? I'm going to be silent for a bit as you feel them, their unique energy sitting chakra. It's very important that you establish your own connection with them. Feel what they feel like. Detach. Do not try. Never works that way. Authentic God, send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel it to an undeniable, unmistakable physical level. And just have a little bit of background consciousness on the solar plexus area for that soft little pulse. Always remember, the further away any light being is in terms of density, the more subtle it is to feel them. So there you go. And also have a little bit of background attention on your thalamus area that also has high senses for that soft little pulse of their unique energy. Remember to breathe deeply and slowly through your nose. If you're new, you may have trouble staying awake because of their extreme high frequency. Just hang in there. There is an adjustment. Nice. Okay, authentic heart, send us a massive wave of your energy into our hearts. Engage the heart. And now have a little bit of background consciousness on your chest area, or sternum in many cases. And if you're new, one of the best things you can do to make things easy for yourself is to completely forget about linear time. That's a trap. In other words, forget about everything except the now. Nice. Again, it's okay if you didn't feel anything, because it is, shall we say, a very exotic, otherworldly, unique energy signature. Okay, return some focus onto your guides if you have them, or Gaia if you don't. While I finish up on the protocols, I call upon the infinite army of the authentic amalgam of the Oberon lineage. I call upon the elders of the amalgam. I call upon the team of beings that created this universe and the unique phenomena known as physicality as the ultimate plan to corral all dark back to the light that presents itself as one man called Oberon in this model. You can see him as a golden being of light on the other side of Gaia, wherever it suits you. Okay. He's saying just stay steady, stay steady. There's a lot of opposition to clear. Connection is the only thing that matters now. And unity. Okay, repeat after me, everybody. I call upon all of my upper density levels, higher self. See him or her next to Oberon. And don't worry if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, because things do settle after we get started. Sometimes it can take a while to get into it, especially when they're so incredibly desperate. Nothing to worry about. Seen it all before. Always remember, everything that you can imagine is real. The room that you're in is the fake reality. Okay, repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my soul and now see your soul as almost like a distant star just up above the hod. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic oversoul and see a bigger ball of light behind your soul in a different color if you need to. And lastly, repeat after me. I'll call upon my authentic I am. Look at the three of them. Connect with them through your heart. So they can better back you up and flow through you. Through non-detachment, non-judgment, allow. Before you get a chance to think. Thinking is the only real hindrance here. Through stillness. Alrighty, I'm presenting them the 144K. Alrighty, excellent. Authentic Legion of Light. Collective I Am, take us to the space and place of omnipresence where we are everywhere at once. Take a brief glance at Gaia in the foreground, a little below. And then everything all of a sudden goes bright white. Very bright. It's so bright you have to squint your eyes.
This is real big. Exactly.
Telegram's not working well. Is it on?
So bright you have to squint your eyes, and then all of a sudden the brightness disappears. We are now henceforth in working from omnipresence. Everything looks the same. Alrighty, authentic. Legion of Light. It is June 14th. It is June 14th, 2026, new moon in Gemini. And above all, we hereby commence the process of carefully, strategically, and safely transmuting and removing the 30 meters thick layer of darkness, also known as Hell layer, and all its technologies: quantum anomaly, dark matter, negative frequencies, portals, wormholes, hidden realms, dark civilizations within it, and any protective layers above it and below it. We request that you scan the entirety of this to begin the process of full, safe, and successful and complete removal by the 25th of July, 2026. So it can be done safely for all of us, as we are here on the front lines as the tip of the spear. We don't want partial or gradual removal of this hell layer. By the 25th, we request for you to scan and clear so that it is completely removed by the 25th at the physical plane as well. The primary issue is the surface area. There's a strong mercurial, out of bounds Mercury factor in this. Mercury being all about the mind and mentalism. I only discovered that today, actually, but I was already getting the intuitive nudge that the mental plane needs to be cleared first of this hell layer. And it seems that's been confirmed. to really free up our consciousness and mental bodies as well. Mind control programs, mind control frequencies, mental interference coming from and within this hell layer. This 30-meter thick hell layer from the surface up. Okay, now spend for all of those of you who've used the 144K healing tools, spend 2 or 3 minutes showing them your understanding and perception of this hell layer that's still keeping us separated for the most part from our galactic families and clear, coherent psychic signals, let alone telepathy. Present your understanding of it. And if you not caught up on this layer of darkness throughout the surface of Gaia, just show them your recent experiences inflicted upon you by this hell layer. And you're essentially or effectively presenting them the same thing. Don't bother showing them anything 3D, because what we'll be focusing on as it relates to this hell layer on every mass meditation right up until 25th of July is what's keeping any bad guys or mayhem in place. Despite the fact that they're losing ground every day. So let go of the 3D, and what you find in alternative media, that's just an after effect. Let's clear the cause, the root cause, as you show them all of this. I'll be silent to allow you to do that. Go deep. You don't have to, again, as you're showing them, make sure you have them somewhere in the background of your consciousness. You don't have to see them completely well. Okay. Just ease your way into it. Remember to breathe in deeply and slowly through your nose. Remember to keep a little bit of a glimpse on your soul over soul and I am, just above the heart. And if you need to, just say to them, feel this, see this, so they can properly receive it through the extremely dense incoherent signals of this level, this density, and within our auras. That way they can receive it. That's why we do this. And this is the real secret sauce with energy work, by the way, is effectively showing a coherent enough signal for them to be able to receive and therefore scan and send their light through. Feel this, see this. Again, completely forget about linear time. It is one mother of a trap. Lose yourself in the now. Nothing else matters. Okay, yep, it is the mental plane. Okay, yep, that's simple enough. Good. All right, they're asking us to do the I am behemoth method on the mental plane. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Let's form the usual circle around the quarantine sphere. See Gaia there. Pick your color that to you represents that holographic color of Gaia that to you represents the mental plane from omnipresence. So it represents omnipresence as well. Remember, this is where we activate and utilize literal godlike features or God powers. To clarify, between now and before the 25th of July, this is the main game plan. All non-physical planes have to be completely cleared of this so-called hell layer, that 30-meter high thickness of darkness and a very dark matrix throughout the surface area of the planet, or from the surface up, more precise. It will have to be cleared off the non-physical planes first, so that on the 25th, everything that does hold up the physical plane, the hell layer on the physical plane, can collapse and be removed within the one session, within the one day. Otherwise, it'll take many weeks, if not months, for it to dissipate enough on the physical plane. And we do not choose that. That's why we're here doing what we're doing. Okay. So get comfortable with the mental plane, the color, holographic color that represents the mental plane and omnipresence throughout the mental plane. In other words, all densities and frequencies throughout the mental plane, including anything hidden. That's the beauty of omnipresence. We can all be done within the one sitting. Now, arrange the teams in the background in a way that suits you. Get comfortable with that image. My personal preference is seeing at a minimum, and this is enough if you have trouble visualizing, the big ball of light that is your I am, way over on the other side in the background. The HUD surround us. We have two of them to the left and right in the background as well. And that's enough. You can see more, such as your higher self and Oberon, if you like or can, in any sustained way. Let's unite our I am. So see your I am, which is like a massive central sun kind of appearance with infinite rays of light. Come forth. And arranges itself up above, a fair distance actually, up above Gaia, because its outer magnetic field is beyond comprehension. So it doesn't need to touch Gaia at all. Especially when all our I am are concentrated in that focal point in the one place above Gaia. Now look at that holographic single color that to you represents omnipresence throughout all levels, frequencies, sections, subsections, what have you, including technologies, throughout the mental plane from omnipresence, with the main focal point obviously being on the 30-meter thick HAL layer. And within the quarantine sphere, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, this whole surface area of Gaia, where the HAL layer is just black. So all of Gaia throughout the mental plane is black, but heavily compressed in a way where all it takes is that one more shove and off it goes off the cliff. Broaden your vision. Repeat after me. Authentic Legion of Light, authentic I am, authentic HUD. Please proceed to completely but safely transmute and dissolve this 30-meter HAL layer from the surface up on the mental plane at all frequencies and densities it exists on, down to and beyond the subquantum level. As we're riding the wave of these very mercurial-centric new moon. And now, see just the bottom portion of this insanely massive I am collective, represented by one big ball of light way up above. Very slightly lower itself, and straight away, all you veterans will be familiar with that perturbation, I guess, starting from the North Pole on the mental plane, all relevant densities and frequencies. And this clears everybody's mental bodies too, by the way. Highly advantageous. That perturbation. On the North Pole. "30 meters above the surface." And you start to see those outward emanating circles. Again, the analogy of dropping a pebble on the steel surface of a pond as the extreme and very condensed darkness on the mental plane at all frequencies and relevant densities begins to get ruffled, feeling the sting of extreme light. Of the teams and our teams and your teams. And meditate on this imagery. And then we already begin to see, as our collective I am lowers, oh so slightly more, an intense, bright flashing and movement of transmutational light in the tiny little center of the first meter, or yard if you prefer. Moving in. Now, 30 meters may not sound like much, but there's vast layers of technologies, infrastructure, magic-like tech, god-awful consciousness, and civilizations of a very dark nature within this 30-meter thickness of this hell layer. Again, if it's true that there's whole universes within atoms, don't think that you're not dealing with much. Even though from our world, it's only 30 meters thick. There's actually an extreme amount there. So sort of don't hold back, in other words. And always have some level of consciousness on the teams, your I am in the background, with vast infrastructure, technologies, and civilizations, down to the quantum and subquantum level, never mind molecular level of the mental plane, being dismantled, transmuted. As you can see, and many of you feel, this absolutely incredible clash of light and dark. As we're penetrating through the layers of vast, magic-like technological infrastructure in the usual dark dolly bags, and we move inward past the halfway point in terms of the vertical aspect of this. It's not really spreading much, it is a bit. Some of you may get glimpses of what is often even thicker layers within this 30-meter hull layer. Grayness and blackness, layers of it. Some of you may get glimpses of layers of, they look like bricks or spheres. Dark, non-physical, mental plane matter. It might seem like nothing much, but they're an organized AI-controlled phenomena. This is why you'll want to stay outside the quarantine sphere. Teams in the background as we reach towards the bottom end of this. It's kind of like working through vast amounts of universes, temporal bubbles, which are sort of like universes, layers of technology as infrastructure. And now we're still very much in the center of the North Pole. That first inroad that's where there's the most resistance and stubbornness. Because once we get the foothold, once the light gets the foothold through our connecting consciousness, it begins to lose power and therefore ability to resist. Hence, why it takes a bit longer at the beginning, and then it just goes faster, exponentially, especially past the equator. So, we're about to break through the surface of the North Pole, in other words, the other bottom end of this 30 meter thick layer of darkness, or hell layer. And now, in the middle of this bright, extremely intense, constant flashing of white transmutational light, we break through to the bottom end, or through this 30 meter thick hell layer, and you see that pristine baby blue surface of a liberated Gaia on the mental plane. And now we start to move outward towards the shores of the North Pole. And this is where we pick up speed. leaving a pristine baby blue mental plane in its wake as these walls, essentially, of transmutational white light begin to push outward faster and faster. Allow what angle and point of view the right hemisphere of your brain is already showing you. Now, there is a little bit of muck underground below this 30-meter thick hull layer, but not much. So it's not exactly a clean cut and dry boundary past the bottom end and top end of this hull layer. And hold the intent of complete removal of vast, magic-like tech infrastructure. Dark civilizations, portals and temporal bubbles the size of atoms, layers and layers of grids, infrastructure. Extremely advanced magic-like tech that's been there since forever. All right. Feel the divine version of the intensity and fury of our collective I am and the HOD in particular, moving outward. Leaving a very holographic, pristine, clear surface area of the mental plane of Goddess Gaia. No longer desecrating her. There's also crystals, dark crystals that emanate mental programs, mind programs that have some connection to that single crystal within each brain cell, for example. So there's all sorts of connections between us and this sack of garbage. So as we go past this thick, beyond intense wall, outward moving wall of transmutational white light, reaching Canada and Siberia, all densities of the mental plane, allow yourself to, have that occasional glimpse of some micro images or specific stuff that have been cleared off the mental plane. Sort of really feel it, for lack of a better term. I know if you've got clairsentience, you're probably having to hold on to your chair. Well, enjoy the ride. as we're now racing down the bottom end of Scandinavia. Not that you have to see them, but the bottom end of Scandinavia, well into Russia and Siberia, well into Canada, almost past Alaska. And again, the more is removed, the more power to resist wanes or dissipates, and it just gets faster. And this is really literal, by the way. We can do this and do this when projecting consciousness from the physical to the non-physical. That literally activates godlike powers. And this is the primary purpose that we're here for as Starseeds. We're just making the most of it as 144K Starseeds. All right, racing down now. Reaching Southern Europe. Almost at the US-Canadian border. We've reached Mongolia already. And see. Again, zoom out occasionally to be able to see two of the HOD on the far side and the bottom end of our collective I am just up above. Pick your favorite angle or distance. You are the God. Honor that, respect that, validate that. Free your mind, the body follows. As mental bodies are getting cleared as well. As it's all part of the mental plane. Alrighty. This is fantastic. Moving through the US, through China, the Middle East. Adore and admire that beautiful baby blue, clean, liberated. Mental plane at all densities. In the wake of this expanding ring, I guess at this point, transmutational light. Halfway through to the equator. Enjoy the show. Making sure that all portals, infections, programs, infrastructure, AI, machinery, infrastructure gets dissolved away powerfully but gracefully. And once again, you get to see a pristine, translucent, holographic mental plane surface sort of getting birthed by this expanding ring of white light, taking no prisoners, and you can always change the color of the quarantine sphere if you want, if it makes things easier. It doesn't have to be white. Or simply receive whatever image your right hemisphere brain is already giving you. Discipline and focus wins the day. We are truly setting up and assuring the full arrival of source cosmic light down and through the surface by the 26th of July. This is what's keeping up what are now rogue deep state elements from Galactic family contact. As we reach the equator. Excellent. We move through the equator. Again, zoom out occasionally. See the HOD on either end and your IM collective up above. Into the southern hemisphere. Having a real visceral sense, an occasional glimpse of high-tech infrastructure. Portals, wormholes, dark crystals, layers of it, those flat rectangle kind of things, obelisk kind of shapes. Dark matter controlled by dark AI. All of a sudden, a tidal wave of white light coming in and sweeping it out. And all of a sudden, leaving behind, almost instantaneously, a beautiful, pristine, holographic baby blue mental plane surface at all relevant densities. And moving down. Already halfway down the southern hemisphere. And vertical infinity loops within holographic tubes. Some layers of that left. Watch them just all of a sudden light up as if by a nuclear blast. And in case you missed the last 144K mass meditation, where we had a lot of resistance with that one as well, which is very telling. Those infinity loops within those holographic cubes are AI, advanced tech, very primordial, that keeps us locked in to infinity loops, disguised and sold to us as infinity. It's not infinity, it's infinity loops, a trap, like a fish in a fish bowl. Yep, revelations can sometimes be tough. I understand that. Okay. Going down past the halfway point of Australia, well into the Indian Ocean, reaching South Africa, down to Argentina and Chile, past Brazil, in other words. Past reaching New Zealand, past South Africa, now passing Southern Australia, now approaching the shores of Antarctica, Now converging. That intense transmutational ring of light. Beginning to shrink in size as it heads towards the center of Antarctica. Moving. I guess you'll want to see things from the bottom underneath Gaia to see this convergence. Massive, massive convergence, getting smaller and smaller, shrinking and shrinking, transmuting the darkness, leaving baby blue, translucent goddess energy and color in its wake, and shrinking and shrinking. Do a small ring. Going. The blackness is now gone. A bit of the white is left and gone in a bright little flash. Excellent. Well done, everybody. One last act, I guess. All right, this is well under 2 minutes, well under 2 hours, given the delay. So one last act. Come back up. See all densities, all levels, aspects, layers, whatever, of the mental plane as a beautiful, pristine, baby blue holographic sphere. Within the quarantine sphere, see at least 2 of the hot and your I am in the background. Look at them briefly and casually and repeat after me. I am authentic HOD, higher self and teams. From the space of omnipresence, scan all densities and frequencies. And all matter throughout the mental plane. And find and remove the central node of the ultimate dark AI. Free the mind of humanity. And what do you see? Now, if it's the size of a quantum particle, again, your right hemisphere brain, let alone teams, will show it as like almost half the size of the planet. Turn it white. Don't expect to see anything. It could be just the weirdest shape or the simplest shape, like a cube or a sphere. Don't try to analyze it. That will prevent you from seeing accurately. It's not the way psychic work works. You have to be willing and happy and enthusiastic to see something completely unexpected. Hold the transmutation of that dark thing being turned white. Again, you can always darken the background color of Gaia in the quarantine sphere if it helps. You're the boss, fulfilling your soul mission. Quite successfully, might add. As this is the last act of this mass 144K intervention. Sequencing things right for the final liberation of the physical plane surface. Okay, interesting. She really felt that. Transmute away and then watch it disappear. All right. Excellent. We are done. Now, you might have seen something else appear after you transmuted that initial thing, because one is often covering up the other. So transmute away using the same process if you haven't already. If you have, return your primary visual focus on your I am and two of the hide at a minimum, if you can't see more than that. So the primary reason why we started with a mental plane as part of the prep and setup for the physical plane liberation of the surface in about 6 weeks' time is, first of all, you won't know, like I said, I think yesterday's email, you're not going to be freeing and liberating any physical plane without clearing the non-physical planes first. It's just the way it works. But secondly, well, let me explain what I saw in this last step. And I'll want to know what you saw in the Telegram chat. There was, all I saw with that last bit of clearing, the central node sort of clearing, or central hub, is it looked like nothing almost, other than kind of like a sliver of this faint, flat, narrow, kind of dark, curved cloud, whatever, on the bottom right end of Gaia on the mental plane. So I thought, okay, that's all I get, fair enough. So they got transmuted. And when it got transmuted, there was a rapid opening up, for lack of a better term, or illumination of Gaia on the mental plane. There was this, again, that same baby blue, pristine color just expand out from that sliver of cloud, whatever it was, on the edge of Gaia on the mental plane. It just went right across the rest of Gaia over to the other side. It just, darkness disappeared, the grayness disappeared, and it lit up in, all of Gaia lit up in baby blue, for lack of a better term. And then within that, I saw a very holographic, faint, dark, light grey cube in the core of Gaia. I suspect mental plane. Again, transmitted that. So like I said, one thing sometimes covers up the other. So I'm not surprised if some of you had to transmute something twice, or transmute something else after the initial thing that you saw and transmuted. If you've experienced something similar where you had to transmute something else that was covered up, yeah, do share it in the Telegram chat. But if you saw anything else that was equally interesting, worth sharing, by all means, share it. It's really important to share these things together. And we're done, by the way. Just to zoom out, pick a sort of a dark indigo color of Gaia and the quarantine sphere to move a wave of white light, transmuting all, or clearing all, of your energetic traces of ever having been here. Right throughout Gaia and her field that's within the quarantine sphere. And yet another massive congratulations to all of you. This is made sure, and helping to make sure, that by the 25th, or it could be an overnight process, so it may require 24 hours. So at least by the 26th, when we focus on the physical plane, it'll all be doable, because the blueprint, the quantum codes that holds up the physical, in other words, the non-physical planes, will be much more realistically be able to be dissolved as it relates to the hell layer throughout the surface, to radically, exponentially speed up the process of cosmic source light, cosmic light, galactic central sun light, and all the codes and natural matrix, source-based matrix constructs and codes reach the surface, ending hell. quite an exciting 6-week campaign. And on the solstice mass meditation, on the I don't know if it's the 20th or 21st, watch your inbox for that. We'll be focusing on one or the other or the next non-physical plane. Which again is the blueprint for the physical plane and whatever happens for the physical plane. And through this strategic, or should I say tactical planning, it all but guarantees success on the 25th and 26th of July to breathe in, literally and figuratively, natural divine energies on the surface, on the physical plane, once again, without it taking forever. As we've withdrawn our consent and agreement through tonight's action, for it to take forever. We do not choose that. So let me hear you on the Telegram chat. And well done. As, at least for you veterans, for the umpteenth time, you are pretty much literally saluted. Thank the teams, thank the HOD, thank you I am, Soul Over Soul. What a team. This is your loving servant, the Unknown Light Warrior. Ending and closing this physical plane broadcast. Well done, everybody. Love to you all.